Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
Imagine a quiet room at night where a small clock sits on a table and the second hand ticks like a gentle metronome. The air is still, your breath is slow. Each tick feels like a tiny footstep across a soft floor. Time seems simple here, as if it is a river that never changes its speed. Yet outside this room, the world moves, and movement has a secret. When something moves very fast, the river of time does not flow the same way. This is a strange idea, but it belongs to nature, the way the moon belongs to the tide. If we listen closely, we can hear this idea like a soft hum under all the noise of daily life. It tells us that time and motion dance together, and the faster a thing moves, the slower its time will flow, like honey that thickens in winter. Think of a train crossing a wide field at dusk. In the window sits a child pressing their palm to the cool glass. To the child, the train car is a quiet world where the clock ticks as always. But to someone standing in the field, watching that train streak past, the clock inside seems to tick a little more slowly. It is not a trick, it is not a broken clock. It is the world telling us that time does not have one single rhythm. Time stretches, time relaxes, time takes its time. Nothing dramatic is happening to the child. They feel normal. Their heartbeat is calm. But the person in the field, measuring with careful tools, would say, yes, the clock on the train is running slow compared to mine. The field and the train both hold a story of time, and both stories are true in their own way. Now take away the train and bring in a beam of light. Light is different from trains, birds, cars, and even fast jets. Light does not get tired, it does not slow down or speed up. In empty space, light always moves at the same speed. That speed is very large, so large it is hard to picture it. Try anyway. Imagine circling the Earth 7 times in 1 second, and even that is not quite right, but it helps. Because light speed is always the same, nature must bend other things to make room for this rule. Space bends, time bends. They bend together so that light's steady pace remains steady. This is the heart of the story. If light is the drum that never speeds up, then the dancers, space and time, must change their steps. Close your eyes and picture 2 mirrors facing each other. Between them, a little spark of light bounces up and down like a patient heartbeat. This is a light clock, a simple and kind idea. Each bounce is a tick. If the clock sits still on a table, the light travels straight up and down. But if you place the clock on a fast, smooth ship and the ship glides by, the path of the light becomes a slanted zigzag for someone watching from the shore. The light still moves at the same speed, but the slanted path is longer than the straight one. For the tick to stay honest, the time between ticks must stretch. That is why the moving clock slows down. This picture is gentle and clear, like a lantern in fog. It tells us that motion reshapes the story of time without making noise or sparks. Everything still works, hearts still beat, the lantern still glows, but the rhythm is new. When we ask, does time end at the speed of light, we are touching a very soft leaf on a very old tree. The leaf is the question, thin and green. The tree is the structure of space and time, deep and quiet. If we move faster and faster, our time slows more and more from the view of someone at rest. Like a lullaby that stretches out, seconds become longer and minutes take their time. At the speed of light itself, our equations say something strange. A clock that tried to ride with a beam of light would not tick at all, not even once. But a real clock cannot reach the speed of light. No object with mass can. Nature is careful here, like a parent holding a child's hand at a river's edge. As we try to move faster, we need more and more energy, and the needed energy rises like a steep mountain that never ends. The speed of light is the top beyond the clouds. It is a roof we cannot touch. Light can move at that speed because it does not carry the kind of weight our bodies do. It has no rest mass, so it plays by a gentler rule. Still, we can imagine. Imagine holding a pocket watch and walking, then running, then speeding in a whispering jet, then a rocket that cuts the night. The faster you go, the more your watch slows compared with the watch of a friend who stays behind. At first, it is only a tiny difference, like the thinning of frost on the edge of a window. But the difference grows with speed. The world has measured this with careful love. Tiny particles called muons, born high in the sky, should fade away before they reach the ground. Yet we see many of them here with us, because their time, from our point of view, runs slow as they rush near the speed of light. Their short lives stretch long enough to arrive. In that way, nature writes a soft note in the margins of the sky, moving. Vast makes time slow. If you have ever used a map on your phone, you have leaned on a choir of clocks circling the Earth. These are the clocks on satellites high above winds and clouds. They whisper the time to your phone and your phone listens. But these clocks, moving quickly and living in thinner gravity, do not keep time like the clocks on the ground. They are touched by speed and by the gentle lift of space above the Earth. Engineers adjust them so that their time will match ours when their voices fall down to us. Without this quiet fix, your map would drift like a boat without an anchor. It is a tender truth. Relativity is not only a beautiful story. It is a daily tool that helps us find our way, and it works because the world is woven from time and motion, not from time alone. Let's drift deeper and think of a photon, a tiny packet of light like a snowflake that never melts. For us, light crosses space. It leaves a star and travels for years, even millions of years, before it brushes a telescope mirror or a leaf. For us, there is a long road and a long wait. But what about the photon itself? Does it feel the passage of time? This is a tricky place, like a thin bridge over mist. Light does not have a seat inside our normal kind of clock. Light has no rest to call home. If we try to imagine a clock riding with light, the math says its ticks would shrink to nothing. The time along a light's path is zero. That is a strange sentence, but it simply means that light does not carry a story of before and after the way we do. Light is always at the edge between here and there, arriving as soon as it leaves in its own special way. This does not mean time ends. It means that the language of time for things that can rest is not the language for things that can only move at light speed. You can almost feel the difference if you walk from a warm kitchen into the cool night. One clock sits on the table in the kitchen. Another clock waits outside under the stars. Both tick, both are honest, but the world around them is not the same. The way time moves can change with movement, and it can change with gravity too. Near a heavy mass, time moves a little slower. Far from mass, time moves a little faster. And when you move quickly through space, your time slows compared with someone resting. The world treats space and time like threads twisted together in a single strand. Pull on one thread and the other shifts. Light is the rule that keeps the twist neat and firm. It helps to slow down our thoughts and listen to simple pictures. A pond on a still morning holds a reflection of trees like a quiet painting. Drop a pebble and rings spread out, always at the same speed, no matter who watches. To keep the rings steady for every watcher, the pond may have to redraw the distances, stretch the minutes, adjust the picture. That is what space-time does for light. It stretches here, tightens there, so every person in every smooth motion finds the speed of light to be the same. Some will call this strange, others will call it beautiful. Both are right, because it means that time does not live alone. It lives with space, and together they care for the path of light. When we say, "Does time end at the speed of light?" we should speak softly, because words can be sharp while nature is soft. Our best way of speaking says that if you try to ride a clock at the speed of light, the clock refuses. It stops telling a story, not because time is gone from the universe, but because your clock and your way of measuring are not made for that ride. For us, for trees, for stones, for ships and birds, time is a river that always flows. For light, there is no seat by the riverbank. Light is the river's spark, the pattern that water makes as it moves. It is there and not there in the way a wave is and is not the water. So time does not end. It simply has a different meaning when we try to speak for light. Now imagine a pair of twins who hug each other goodbye at a quiet station. One stays at home. One leaves on a long journey at great speed. Years pass, letters arrive, the train wheels sing. When the traveler returns, their face is a little more youthful than the face that stayed. This sounds like a fairy tale, but it is a careful result of the way time stretches for moving things. It is not a sad story. Both twins have lived fully. They have memories like shell lines in a spiral. The difference in their ages is not a mistake. It is the world's gentle way of keeping the speed of light steady for everyone, no matter their path. We do not need to rush to understand. We can let the idea sit with us, the way tea sits in a cup, warming our hands before we drink. At the edge of the sea, a lighthouse sends out bright pulses. Ships far away see each pulse as a sign of safety and a guide toward home. The light moves at its steady speed through mist and dry air alike. If a ship sails very fast, its own clocks will slow compared to the light. Housekeeper's clock, but the pulses still arrive and the rules still hold. It is comforting, like the sound of the same song played by different instruments. You may hear a violin here and a flute there, yet the melody remains. Relativity is the melody. It is played by trains and rockets, by atoms and satellites, by the ticking of clocks in mountains and in valleys. The speed of light is the key the song is written in. Let's rest with a gentle truth. Nothing in this story tells us that time is broken or false. Time is a gift our minds can hold, like a smooth stone. We count time with clocks, with heartbeats, with shadows in the afternoon. What changes is that the counting depends on the path we walk through space. If we move gently, our counting matches that of others who move gently with us. If we move fast, our counting stretches compared with those who stayed. Light is not a counter like us. It is the bright thread that the cloth of space-time is woven around. If we ask light about time, it will not answer in seconds. It will answer in paths. Scientists do not settle for stories alone. They build and test. They set up experiments with beams and particles. They send clocks in planes. They measure and measure again, and the results are steady like the ticking of a metronome. The patterns match the quiet equations that say time depends on speed and place. There is joy in this match, like a key finding the right lock. It means our picture is true enough to trust. It also means we can keep asking soft, brave questions, such as what happens near a black hole, where gravity is strong and time slows like thick syrup. But that is a river bend we will visit later. For now, we stay with light and speed and the way the world keeps them safe. If you sit again in the quiet room and watch the small clock, you may feel a new softness in the passing of the seconds. Each tick is not a command, it is a whisper. Each talk is a footstep across a floor that can stretch under different shoes. Somewhere a star sends light across a gulf of night. Somewhere a satellite sings the time to a valley below. Somewhere a muon falls toward the earth, living longer than it would if it were still. All of them are part of one wide hush, the hush of a universe where time is not a single drum, but a field of grass, each blade leaning in the wind of motion and gravity. You might place your hand over your heart and feel the slow beat, and notice that in your own frame, your time is yours and feels steady. That is important. Relativity does not make life confusing for the life that is living it. It keeps each traveler's time simple for that traveler. Your seconds do not crumble in your hands. The changes appear when you compare your story with someone else who took a different path. This is like two hikers who set out from the same hill, loop through the forest, and meet again by the river. Their boots are dusty in different ways. Both walked true steps. Their maps agree when read with care. So with time and motion, the maps match when we use the right gentle rules. As night deepens, the clock's second hand continues its rounds. You may imagine a beam of light sliding under your door, a thin silver visit from the moon. It does not grow old on its way to you. It arrives with no sense of its journey's length. For you, the beam took a tiny time to travel from window to floor. For the beam, there was no waiting at all. This is the soft mystery at the heart of your question. It is not a hard wall or an end. It is a difference in how the world keeps stories. You keep time with heartbeats, with breaths, with ticks. Light keeps time with paths, with distances that fold into no time at all for it. When you ask whether time ends at the speed of light, the universe answers with a smile you can almost see. For you, time slows as you approach that speed and would freeze in the limit, but you cannot reach it. For light, the question of time is not the same as it is for you. And so we rest the story here for a moment, like a book half closed on a table, still warm from your hands. In this chapter, we learn to trust the steady rhythm of light and to accept that time is a friendly, flexible thing, kind to each traveler in their own frame, yet open to change when paths are compared. The clock has not stopped. It has learned to sway. The The river has not dried. It has learned to bend around stones we cannot see at first. In the hush that follows, you can breathe in and breathe out, and know that your seconds are your own, even while the stars tell their slower tales, and beams of light slip across the night without a single tick to mark their way. If we let our thoughts drift further into this river of relativity, we find that the story of time is wider than clocks and trains. It is sewn into the fabric of everything that moves and breathes. Time is not only what a watch counts, it is the rhythm that lets a flower open in the morning and close in the night. The pattern that lets your heart beat, the invisible thread that ties yesterday to today and today to tomorrow. Yet this thread can stretch, knot, and loosen depending on how we move through the world. At gentle speeds, we cannot feel the change, but at speeds near light itself, the stretching becomes impossible to ignore. Seconds grow long and journeys take on strange shapes. This bending of time is called time dilation, and though it may sound like an abstract spell, it is real, quiet, and proven. Let us wander into the forest and listen to the hush beneath tall trees. Each tree is still, rooted to the soil, and the shade moves slowly with the sun. The forest is a place of steady time. Now imagine a bird darting through the branches, faster than your eyes can follow. For the bird, life flows at its own rhythm, yet if we could compare every heartbeat, every blink, we would find small differences between the forest floor and the high flight. In our ordinary lives, these differences are too tiny to notice. But when we speak of machines that fly near the edge of light, or particles born in the upper air, the differences grow bold. They whisper to us that time is not a single clock shared by all, but a fabric that changes its weave with speed. Einstein once sat at his desk, thinking not with numbers but with visions. He imagined riding on a beam of light, looking sideways at waves of brightness frozen beside him. The vision was impossible, but it opened a door. If light always moves at the same speed, then the stage of the universe cannot be flat and rigid. It must be soft, like cloth that bends under weight and stretches under strain. That cloth is space-time, and time dilation is one of its most gentle folds. The equations that describe it are precise, but the feeling is simple. The faster you move, the more your moments widen compared to those who stay behind. This is not an illusion. It is not a trick of perception. It is the way the stage itself shifts so that the laws of light remain true for all. Consider again the muons in the sky. They are born when cosmic rays strike the air high above, and by their nature they fade almost instantly. If we measured their lifetimes in a lab, we would expect them to vanish long before they reach the ground, yet many do arrive. Their journey is only possible because their clocks run slow compared with ours as they fall at near light speed. They live longer in our eyes enough to touch the soil. Nature itself has given us this experiment, written in the rain of particles that falls upon us every hour. The story is in the air, whether or not we notice. Each muon is a traveler from the upper sky, carrying with it proof that time is pliable. Now let us step from particles to people, and from theory to practice. The global positioning system is a constellation of satellites that circle the Earth, whispering time and location down to our hands. Each satellite carries an atomic clock, and those clocks are touched by two effects at once. Their speed in orbit slows their time, while the weaker gravity above the Earth speeds it up. Both effects matter. Without correction, your phone would lose its way by kilometers each day. But with the corrections, based on the soft mathematics of relativity, the map in your pocket stays steady. This is one of the quiet miracles of modern life, that a theory imagined by Einstein more than a century ago guides us through crowded streets and winding paths with ease. The bending of time is not only a story, it is a tool. Imagine now a rocket sailing deeper into space. Inside, an astronaut watches a candle flame flicker, sips water, and reads a page. To them, all is normal. The hours pass as they always have. Yet to those watching from Earth, the astronaut's time drifts, stretched out by the rocket's great speed. The astronaut will return younger than those who stayed behind by a small but real measure. This is the twin paradox made flesh, not by fantasy but by the nature of the cosmos. The astronaut feels no strangeness. They lived every moment, but when the two paths meet again, the difference is clear. Time has curved around speed as surely as a river bends around a rock. It may help to picture time as a soft drum beat in the background of the universe. Every being carries their own drum, and they beat together when we move gently side by side. But if one drummer begins to run far ahead, their beat slows to keep the rhythm of light unbroken. The runners and the rest never hear discord, each hears their own steady pace. Yet when they meet again, the difference is woven into their lives. The beauty of this image is that it carries both comfort and wonder. Comfort, because time never betrays the traveler themselves, and wonder, because the universe is willing to bend its fabric to keep light's speed steady for all. Let us linger for a moment on the word end. When we ask whether time ends at the speed of light, what do we mean? For object. TS like us made of mass and matter, we cannot reach that speed. As we try, the energy needed rises without limit. It is like climbing a mountain that grows taller with every step. We cannot crest it. For light, the mountain does not exist because light is not burdened with mass. It simply is. For light, there is no passage of time in the way we understand it. From emission to arrival, no ticks pass on its own clock. But for us, looking from the outside, light may have traveled billions of years across the night sky. Both statements are true, depending on the seat you occupy. This is not the end of time, but a difference in its meaning. When you look up at the stars, you are seeing light that left its source long ago. Some of those beams began their journey before humans walked the earth. They have crossed gulfs of silence, yet for the photons themselves, the journey was timeless. It was no delay at all. They arrive carrying the memory of ancient fires, yet without feeling the weight. This is perhaps the softest truth of all, that light shows us the past while never carrying a past of its own. It is the messenger that never grows old. For us, it is a story of ages. For light, it is an instant. In this way, the stars speak two languages at once. You can almost sense this in the quiet stretch of a long day. When you sit by a window and watch the sun move, your time feels steady. Hours pass like a gentle tide, but the sunlight that warms your face began its journey 8 minutes before. To you, that is a short gap, a delay built into the dance of earth and sun. To the light itself, there was no gap. It was here as soon as it was born, because along its path no time flowed. This dual truth does not need solving, it simply is. It is the harmony of relativity, playing both in your heartbeat and in the photons that paint your room with gold. Let us walk again in imagination with Einstein's thought experiments. If you chase a beam of light, you will never catch it. If you ride beside it, you will find that time has no steps to count. These pictures are not literal journeys we can take, but they give us a way to sense the limits. They tell us why we cannot ask whether time ends for us at the speed of light. It is not our path, it is light's path. For us, time slows as we approach, but it never stops. We always have seconds to hold, however stretched. Light alone carries the special story of no time between departure and arrival. This leads us to reflect on the nature of the universe itself. Space and time are not two separate sheets laid side by side. They are one fabric woven together. The speed of light is the thread that fixes the weave, keeping the pattern strong. Every path, every motion, every story of time dilation and stretched clocks arises from this single rule. It is not a harsh law but a gentle one, because it gives each traveler their own rhythm, and it allows the cosmos to remain consistent. Without it, the world would fracture. With it, the world is whole. The next time you watch a clock, let yourself imagine its second hand slowing, not because it is broken, but because it is gliding on a ship racing through the stars. Let yourself imagine that your own heartbeat could drift against another's if you walked different paths through space. These images are not dreams, they are realities waiting in the quiet mathematics of the world. They remind us that even in our everyday, we are part of something vast, where time is not rigid but alive. And so the story deepens. Time does not end at the speed of light. Instead, time changes shape, softens its flow, and becomes something different for light than it is for us. This is not an ending, but a widening of our understanding. It shows us that the universe is both stranger and more beautiful than the clocks on our tables suggest. And in that strangeness lies comfort, for it means that time is not a prison but a river, flowing differently for each traveler, yet always carrying them forward in their own gentle way. Let us return to the image of the small clock on the quiet table. Its hands sweep across the face, steady and faithful. But now you carry in your mind all the stories of light and speed, of satellites and muons, of rivers that bend and drums that slow. The clock no longer feels like a simple machine. It feels like a window into the deep fabric of the universe. Each tick is both personal and universal. Each tick is steady for you, yet part of a pattern that shifts with motion and gravity. This is the wonder of relativity. It gives us a way to honor our own time while also accepting that time is not the same for everyone, everywhere. When we ask, does time end at the speed of light, the answer is not a sharp no or yes. The answer is a soft unfolding. For us, time only slows and never halts. For light, time is not counted at all. Now imagine yourself walking at twilight as shadows stretch long across the grass. You pause and lift your eyes to the first stars emerging in the violet sky. Those stars are ancient, their light crossing gulfs beyond our measure. Some beams began their travel before Earth's mountains rose. To you they arrive as memories aged and worn by distance. But to the photons themselves there was no distance, no waiting. Their journey was timeless. This paradox is not meant to confuse but to comfort. It reminds us that the universe has layers of truth. In one layer, clocks tick and ages pass. In another, light knows only immediacy. To hold both truths at once is to feel the vastness of the cosmos pressing gently on your skin. Let's drift further and think of black holes, those quiet wells in space where gravity is so strong that even light cannot climb free. To us watching from afar, time near a black hole slows like syrup. A clock falling toward the event horizon seems to freeze as it approaches, its last tick stretched into forever. Yet for the falling clock itself, time flows as always. Seconds pass normally, though the path ends abruptly in darkness. Here again we see that time is not absolute. It is tied to the path one takes, to the frame in which one lives. The horizon is not only a place in space, but a place where our sense of time itself bends beyond our reach. It is a reminder that the question of time at light speed is linked to the deepest mysteries of space-time. You may picture the universe as a vast tapestry. Each thread is a path through space and time. Some threads are short, some long, some curved by gravity, some stretched by speed. Light threads run differently. They are woven so tightly into the cloth that they carry no length of their own. They connect places instantly in their own measure. This is why light sets the structure of the whole pattern. Without light's timeless threads, the tapestry would not hold together. So when we say that time ends at light speed, we are speaking not of destruction, but of the special role light plays. It does not experience time because it defines the very fabric in which time exists. Now imagine yourself older, sitting again by the same clock, but years have passed. Your hair is silver, your hands gentle with age. The clock ticks as always. You recall the twin who traveled fast, the muons that lived long, the satellites that guided you, the photons that carried starlight. All of them remind you that your own time is a gift, flowing at its own pace, honest and true. Even if others walk different paths, your seconds are yours to live. Light may know no time, but you do. And in that there is beauty. You are not timeless like a photon, but you are part of the universe that holds both timelessness and flowing time. Your life is a bridge between the two. As we settle deeper into this thought, the fear that time might end becomes softer. Time does not vanish at light speed, rather it reshapes itself. For us it stretches, always moving, always giving us moments to hold. For light it becomes a silence, a pause that is not an end but a different kind of being. This silence is what allows light to connect the stars to our eyes, the sun to our days, the galaxies to our dreams. Without this silence, the story of the universe could not be told. In this way, the absence of time for light is not a loss but a gift, a foundation upon which all other time can flow. Consider the music of the universe. If time is rhythm, then light is the key in which the song is written. Every note, whether stretched by motion or slowed by gravity, must fit the key. Without the key, the song would scatter into noise. With the key, the melody holds no matter how it shifts. This is why the speed of light is so central, why it shapes both space and time. It is not only a number in an equation. It is the quiet law that lets the universe sing in harmony. You may sit by the sea and watch the waves roll to shore. Each wave takes time to cross the water, but the shimmer of light upon the waves, the glitter of the sun, seems timeless, always present in its arrival. This image is a mirror of our greater truth. Matter and motion take time. Light simply is. Both belong to the same world, but they tell different stories. To live as a human is to live in the story of time, with days and nights, with aging and memory. To glimpse the timelessness of light is to feel a breath of eternity, a soft echo of the universe's hidden order. As this story closes, let us hold the two truths together. For us, time is precious, flowing gently, stretching with speed, bending with gravity, but never ceasing. For light, time is not measured, not needed, not lived in the way we live it. This is not an ending, but a difference, a beautiful division that allows the cosmos to be both dynamic and eternal. To know this is to feel both small and infinite, both fleeting and timeless, both grounded and free. Now let us place the clock back on the table. Its ticking is steady, soothing, familiar. You breathe with it, you live within. Its rhythm, yet somewhere high above, satellites circle, their clocks corrected by relativity. Somewhere in the upper air, muons stretch their fleeting lives into long journeys. Somewhere in the great dark, photons cross billions of years without ever aging. All of these are true together. All of them belong to the same universe. And in the gentle union of these truths, you may find peace. The question that began this story, does time end at the speed of light, no longer feels sharp. It feels soft, like a leaf in your hand, fragile yet whole. Time does not end. It bends, it reshapes, it changes meaning. For you, it will always flow, even if slowly. For light, it simply does not apply. Both truths are gentle and both are real. And as you rest with this thought, listening to the quiet ticking in your own life, you may feel that you too are part of this harmony, a creature of time who can glimpse timelessness in the stars. Imagine a single beam of light leaving the surface of a star, carrying with it the memory of fire and fusion. It moves outward into the dark, crossing endless stretches of space, silent and unwavering. For us watching from afar, the journey is long and slow. Years pass, galaxies drift, civilizations rise and fall, but for the light itself there is no waiting. Its departure and arrival are the same moment. It does not grow old, it does not measure distance as we do. To us it becomes shadow and glow, pattern and warmth. To itself, it is only a path with no before or after. This difference is what makes photons such mysterious companions. They are always with us, illuminating our days, yet they live outside of the flow of time that governs our lives. They move at the one speed that bends the rules of space and time into harmony, and in doing so, they cast shadows of mystery wherever they go. Let us drift to the early morning when the sun climbs the horizon. Its rays stretch across the sky, striking the earth and turning dew into tiny mirrors. Every sparkle is a photon's arrival. That light may have been born 8 minutes ago in the sun's core, or it may have lingered for thousands of years inside the dense stellar layers before escaping. Once free, the journey is quick to us and timeless to the photon. As it touches your eye, it paints the world with color. Red, blue, green, and every hue are born from the way photons interact with matter, how they scatter and bend, how they are absorbed and released again. The world of color is the world of light's shadows. Each shade is a trace of the speeding photon's path, a quiet record of its encounters. If we imagine a universe without light, we see only silence. Darkness would stretch without relief, and though atoms would still dance, there would be no messenger to carry their story. Light is not only brightness, it is information. Every photon is a carrier of memory, whispering where it came from, what it touched, and where it travels next. A photon from a distant galaxy tells us of events billions of years ago. It is a messenger from the past, arriving with no delay in its own frame. We measure the age of the universe through these messengers. We read the patterns in their distribution and call it the cosmic microwave background. That faint glow is the shadow of the first light, the afterglow of the birth of time and space. In those photons, we see the infant universe, though they themselves have never aged. Let's drift deeper. Imagine walking through a forest where shafts of sunlight slip between the branches. Dust floats in the beams, dancing in warm silence. Each particle you see is lit because countless photons scatter into your eyes. The shadows of leaves are sharp, the patterns shifting as the breeze moves the branches. Light here is both presence and absence. It defines the shape of what you see, even when it does not touch you directly. A shadow is simply a place where fewer photons arrive. But in that absence is a story. Light has been blocked, bent, or absorbed. Shadows are as much a record of light as brightness itself. In this way, photons tell two stories at once, one through illumination and one through silence. Scientists have studied the photon with quiet care. They discovered that light behaves both as a particle and as a wave, carrying energy in discrete packets yet spreading like ripples on a pond. This duality is not a trick but the true nature of light. When photons travel, they do so as quanta, indivisible and precise. When they gather in great numbers, they paint waves of brightness and color. This strange dual behavior means that every shadow, every reflection, every glow carries both certainty and mystery. The speeding photon cannot be pinned down until it meets something, and yet its influence reaches everywhere. It is the gentle paradox that makes the universe visible and yet unknowable all at once. Now imagine a prism, a simple glass triangle set upon a table. White light enters and out spill the colors of the rainbow. Each photon finds its path bent by the glass, separated into red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. To you it is beauty, a spectrum unfolding. To the photon there is no sense of detour, no extra time spent. Its timeless journey continues, but for us the bending reveals a secret. Light carries within it many frequencies, each a different note in the song of the cosmos. When these notes combine, they give us white light. When separated, they reveal the richness of the hidden spectrum. The rainbow is not only beauty, it is the fingerprint of light itself. Shadows of speeding photons can also be found in the night sky. The stars you see are not where they appear, for their light has taken years to arrive. They may have shifted in space or even burned out, but their light still travels. Each star in the night sky is a message delayed by distance. We do not see the present but the past, a theater of memory written in photons. Galaxies, too, send us their ancient light, and by studying its stretch, what scientists call redshift, we learn how the universe expands. The greater the redshift, the faster the galaxy is receding from us, carried by the swelling of space itself. Light is the ruler by which we measure the cosmos. Each photon that arrives is both shadow and proof, telling us not only where it has been, but also how the universe has changed along the way. Think also of mirrors, silvered glass reflecting your face. The photons that leave your skin strike the mirror and return to your eyes. You see yourself because light carries the image back to you. Yet even this simple reflection is a conversation between matter and light. The mirror is smooth enough to send the photons back in order, preserving the shape of your features. Without photons, you would have no reflection, no sense of how you appear to others. The mirror is not magic. It is a dance of speeding photons obeying quiet rules. The shadow in the mirror is as real as the light that carries it. Photons also live in the heart of technology. Fiber optic cables carry them beneath oceans and across continents. They pulse as signals, carrying voices, images, and stories. These speeding photons race through glass with minimal loss, their shadows forming the invisible web of human connection. Your words, your memories, your laughter may have crossed the world as streams of light. To the photons, the trip was instant. To us, it is the heartbeat of communication. Without them, the digital age would be silent. With them, we live in a world of constant light, though mostly hidden from our eyes. The shadows of photons also linger in biology. Plants open their leaves to the sun, drinking in photons through chlorophyll. Each captured photon begins the process of photosynthesis, turning light into life. The green world is built on this gift. Every breath you take, every morsel of food is linked to photons caught by leaves. Without their silent arrival, there would be no forests, no fields, no oceans full of oxygen. Light sustains not only vision, but life itself. In this sense, the shadows of photons are written into your body, into your blood, into the rhythm of your breath. Now imagine again the photon that left a star long ago. It traveled without ticking time, carrying the shadow of its source. When it arrives, it may warm a leaf, spark an image in your eye, or trigger a sensor in a telescope. In that moment, its timeless path meets our flowing time. It is as if two rivers cross, one that always moves forward, one that never moves at all. The crossing is where meaning is made. Shadows, colors, reflections, and signals are all born in that meeting. This is the poetry of the speeding photon. It never waits, it never rests, yet it allows us to measure, to live, to see. To rest with this thought is to see the world anew. Every shadow is a trace of photons, every color a song of light, every reflection a memory carried across space. The speeding photon is both messenger and mystery, both timeless and immediate. It shapes our world without itself belonging to time as we know it. In this truth is quiet wonder. We live in the shadows of photons, and in those shadows we find the story of the universe itself. Let us wander deeper into the shadows of the speeding photon, and imagine that light is not only what we see, but also what we feel and remember. Every moment of vision is written by photons. When you gaze upon a loved one's face, when you watch a candle flicker, when you look into the depths of a painting, you are in conversation with light. Yet beneath this softness lies the strangeness of its speed. The photon is both a wave that ripples endlessly and a particle that strikes suddenly. It is energy and presence, but it is also mystery. The shadows it casts are not only on walls or on the ground, they are shadows upon our understanding, gentle gaps where our words fall short, and in those gaps lies wonder. Think of a moonlit night, silver L. Light falls across rooftops, along quiet paths, across rivers that shine like silk. That light began as sunlight, scattered by the moon's dusty surface, reflected back to Earth. A photon that left the sun touched the moon before reaching your eyes. Its journey was not long in our measure, only a second or two, but in that second a timeless story unfolded. It carried the warmth of fusion, the dust of the moon, and finally the cool calm of Earth's night. Shadows stretch long beneath the moonlight, soft and hazy, not sharp like daylight shadows. These are the shadows of photons scattered, diffused, spread out into silvery glow. In them we feel both the closeness of light and its endless journey. Light also bends when it passes near heavy masses. This bending, known as gravitational lensing, shows us that photons follow the curves of spacetime itself. When light from a distant galaxy passes a cluster of nearer galaxies, it is bent and spread, sometimes into rings or arcs of light. To us, this bending reveals structures too faint to see otherwise. To the photon, the path is simply straight in the fabric it inhabits. Its timeless journey is unchanged, though to our eyes it has woven delicate patterns. These cosmic shadows, arcs of light twisted around galaxies, are among the universe's most beautiful whispers. They tell us that even emptiness has weight, that even light is drawn into the dance of gravity. Let us step into the colors that photons carry. Each photon has an energy, a frequency, a shade. The reds are lower in energy, their waves longer and more relaxed. The blues and violets are higher, tighter, more urgent in their rhythm. Together they make the rainbow, the full spectrum of light. But beyond what we see lies far more. There are shadows of speeding photons that lie in the invisible. Infrared carries warmth from fire and skin. Ultraviolet burns unseen, marking the pages of time on our skin. X-rays pass through flesh to reveal bone, while gamma rays whisper of distant explosions in space. All of these are photons, each with its own frequency, its own role. The visible rainbow is only a small window. The rest is hidden, yet it surrounds us always. We live in a sea of photons, most unseen, most silent, yet all shaping our world. The shadows of photons also tell us about movement. When a star races away from us, its light stretches into longer, redder waves. When it approaches, its light compresses into shorter, bluer waves. This is the Doppler effect, the same that makes the pitch of a passing train rise and fall, but written in light. By studying these shifts, astronomers can tell how galaxies move, how the universe itself expands. Every photon becomes a clue, a shadow cast by motion across the canvas of the sky. These shadows are not dark but full of meaning. They let us measure the unmeasurable, touch the untouchable, know the unknowable. Imagine standing before a stained glass window in an old cathedral. Sunlight pours through, colored and softened into shapes of crimson, gold, and sapphire. Each photon is filtered, absorbed, and released in different ways by the glass. The result is a pattern that feels sacred, as if the photons themselves are painting with patience. The shadows here are alive with color, and they are different at every hour as the angle of the sun shifts. What you see is not only light, but time itself, written in hues upon the stone floor. Light is the brush, the world is the canvas. Every shadow is a work of art made by photons. Consider also the way photons live in your eyes. The retina is lined with cells that capture them, rods and cones that respond to different frequencies. When a photon strikes, it triggers a cascade of signals that race to the brain. Vision is born in this exchange, yet most photons pass by unseen, too high or too low in frequency, too faint or too swift. What you see is only a fragment of the photon story, filtered by biology. The shadows of photons live within you as perception. Every sight is a collection of their shadows, their traces, their silent arrivals. Now imagine the edge of the universe, where the first light was born. After the Big Bang, the universe was too hot and dense for photons to travel freely. They were trapped, scattered endlessly. But as it expanded and cooled, a moment came when light could break free. That ancient glow still fills the cosmos, stretched by expansion into microwaves. The cosmic microwave background is the oldest light we can see, the first shadow of photons in an open universe. It tells us about the beginning, about the seeds of galaxies, about the earliest moments of time. It is faint and cold, yet it is the most profound shadow of all, the memory of creation itself written in light. In every corner of existence, photons are at work. In fiber cables, they carry our words. In medical scans, they reveal our hidden bones. In green leaves, they spark life. In distant telescopes, they reveal the birth of stars. Always they move at the same speed, timeless and untiring. Their shadows stretch across science, art, memory, and life. They connect the smallest breath with the largest galaxy. They are bridges between now and then, between here and there. Without them, the universe would be silent. With them, it becomes song. And so we see that the shadows of the speeding photon are everywhere. They are in the silhouette of a tree at dusk, in the arc of a rainbow, in the glow of a city at night. They are in the data of astronomers and the brushstrokes of painters. They are in the quiet warmth of sunlight on skin and in the ancient whisper of cosmic light across the sky. To walk through the world is to walk through these shadows, to live among the traces of light. And though photons themselves do not know time, they give us the gift of time's story, carried in brightness and shadow, memory and glow. Let us rest now in the final movement of the story of shadows and photons, and let the pace of our thoughts be unhurried. Imagine you are standing by a river at dusk, where the water is smooth and the air is cool. The last light of the day stretches across the surface, breaking into long golden threads. Each reflection is a conversation between photons and water, each shimmer a moment of timeless travel. To you, the light feels fleeting, slipping away as night approaches. To the photons, there is no passage of minutes, no fading of day into night. They arrive, they depart, and in their journey we read the story of time, though they themselves do not. We have learned that photons move always at the same speed, unchanging, the cosmic constant that shapes the fabric of reality. They carry no clocks, yet they carry memory. They hold within their frequency the color of the world, within their energy the heat of a fire, within their scattering the softness of a cloud. Every shadow they create is a trace of their presence, a silent note in the music of the cosmos. When you see your hand outlined against the wall in lamplight, that shape is a record of photons that could not pass, a gentle absence that defines form. Shadows are not emptiness but evidence. They are the places where photons have been turned aside, absorbed, or transformed, and in their quietness we find meaning. Imagine the Earth itself as a stage of shadows. During an eclipse, when the moon passes between the sun and the Earth, a vast shadow sweeps across land and sea. In that brief twilight, the world feels hushed. The shadow is not merely darkness, it is the outline of cosmic alignment drawn by photons denied their path. The speeding photon does not change its timeless journey, but the geometry of sun, moon, and earth turns its absence into awe. To stand within such a shadow is to feel the immensity of space and the precision of motion. It is to know that photons, though timeless, shape the rhythms of our lives in ways both subtle and profound. The speeding photon also casts shadows in memory. A photograph is nothing but light captured and held. The film or the sensor receives photons and turns them into patterns. Each photograph is a frozen conversation with photons that have already gone. The shadows in an old photograph are shadows of photons long vanished, yet they remain as images in our hands. In this way, light becomes memory, and photons become the keepers of stories. They do not experience time, yet they let us hold on to moments across years and decades. When you look at an old picture, you are gazing at shadows written by photons that once touched a scene, a face, a place. They are no longer with us, but their shadows linger. We also find shadows of photons at the edge of science. In the laboratories of physicists, photons are split, entangled, measured, and tested. Their behavior reveals the strangeness of quantum mechanics. A single photon can travel two paths at once, interfere with itself, and be entangled with another photon across vast distances. These experiments reveal that photons are not only timeless, but also deeply woven into the mystery of existence. The shadows they cast here are shadows on our understanding, showing us that the universe is more subtle than we can fully grasp. Yet even in this strangeness, they remain gentle, always carrying light, always moving without time. Let us imagine again the stars. When you lie in a field at night and gaze upward, the sky seems filled with quiet fire. Each star is sending streams of photons, some of them traveling for millions of years before touching your eyes. The shadows of speeding photons fill the sky with memory. You are not looking at the present, but at the past, written in light. The universe reveals itself through these shadows, through these messengers that never age. And in their endless arrival, you find peace, knowing that you are part of a cosmos that is both ancient and ongoing, timeless and ever new. In daily life, the shadows of photons are gentler but no less profound. Sun. Light through curtains, the glow of a candle, the gleam of a reflection in water, all of these are small encounters with light's timeless journey. You may not think of photons as you walk through a sunlit street, but their presence is constant, painting the world around you, writing the shadows that guide your steps. Every color you see, every glimmer you notice, is a meeting with a photon. Their shadows are woven into the very fabric of your days. As we bring this story to a close, let us pause with the deepest truth. Photons do not live in time as we do. They do not grow old, they do not wait, they do not mark seconds or hours. Yet through them we measure time. Through them we see shadows that tell us of motion, distance, and change. They are both timeless and essential to our experience of time. This paradox is not something to be solved, but something to be cherished. It is the gentle mystery of existence, where light gives us knowledge, beauty, and memory, while itself remaining outside the flow it reveals. Now imagine closing your eyes and feeling the warmth of sunlight on your face. Behind your eyelids, the world glows red. You are touched by photons that left the sun minutes ago, that crossed space without aging, that now end their journey in your skin. Their warmth is real, their presence undeniable, yet their story is one of timeless travel. The shadows they cast upon you are both physical and poetic, both measurable and mysterious. And as you breathe in that warmth, you are part of their journey, part of the timeless dance between light and life. The shadows of the speeding photon are, in the end, the shadows of the universe itself. They are the outlines of galaxies, the colors of rainbows, the patterns of eclipses, the glow of fireflies, the images in photographs, the warmth of the sun, and the silence of the stars. To live is to dwell within these shadows, to be shaped by them, to see by them, to remember through them. And though photons themselves do not know time, they give us the gift of knowing time's beauty. They make the universe visible. They make life possible. They make memory eternal. So let us rest with this final image. A single photon leaves a distant star and travels across the abyss. To it, the journey is instant. To us, it may span billions of years. When at last it meets your eye, it becomes sight, becomes memory, becomes meaning. its shadow joins your own, and together they form part of the great story of existence. In that meeting, you glimpse eternity, and in that eternity, you find peace. Imagine standing by a river at dawn, the surface smooth and calm, flowing with a patience that feels eternal. The water drifts past stones, around bends, under bridges, carrying with it the reflections of trees and clouds. Time itself can feel like this river, always flowing forward, carrying our days and years along its current. Yet physics whispers a secret. The river does not always flow at the same speed. Sometimes, under the right conditions, it slows, stretches, or bends. When we move close to the speed of light, the steady current of time begins to change, and what once felt like rushing water can become still, like glass. This image of a river slowing until it becomes unmoving gives us a way to understand time dilation, the strange but gentle truth that time is not the same for everyone, everywhere. Picture a traveler setting out on a long journey through space. At first, their rocket drifts slowly, the stars barely shifting. The traveler glances at a clock on the wall, and its hands sweep as always, steady and reliable. But as the rocket accelerates, moving faster and faster through the silence, something remarkable begins to happen. To the traveler, nothing changes. Their heartbeat is steady, their watch ticks as usual, their mind flows in the familiar rhythm of seconds and minutes. Yet to someone watching from Earth, the rocket's clock begins to slow. The hands sweep more gently, the heartbeat drifts longer between beats. The faster the rocket moves, the slower its time appears to flow compared to Earth's. To the traveler, time is normal. To the observer, it has slowed, as if the river of seconds has turned to glass. This idea is not fantasy but reality, confirmed by experiments again and again. Scientists have placed atomic clocks on airplanes, flown them across the world, and compared them to clocks left on the ground. When reunited, the clocks disagree ever so slightly, their time separated by fractions of a second. In everyday life, this difference is too small to notice, but the principle is clear. Time stretches when we move. Even satellites orbiting Earth must account for this stretch, their clocks corrected to keep our navigation systems precise. Without those corrections, the maps on our phones would drift and fail. What feels like an abstract dream is quietly shaping our daily lives, guiding us with unseen rivers of slowing time. Now imagine that river again, flowing under the morning light. At the edges near the banks, the water slows, caught by stones and roots. In the middle it flows quickly, but under certain conditions it may pool and still, like a pond forming from the stream. Time is like this, flexible and responsive. It is not rigid or absolute, but a river that can change its flow depending on how we move through the cosmos. When speeds approach that of light, the current becomes so stretched that for the traveler, long journeys through space can feel like moments. Entire decades may pass on Earth while only a few years pass for those on the ship. The river slows for one, but not for the other. Both are right, both are true. The universe holds them gently together. Consider the story of two twins. One stays on Earth while the other departs on a rocket traveling close to the speed of light. The traveler experiences years aboard the ship, years of reading, dreaming, gazing at the stars. When they return, they find their sibling older by decades. The river of time has flowed differently for each. This is not magic, not illusion, but the real bending of time itself. The twin who traveled lived every moment fully, but their river slowed, stretched, turned to glass compared to the sibling S. The paradox is only strange to us because we are used to thinking of time as one steady flow for all. In truth, the river bends with speed, creating two paths, two rhythms, both equally real. Let us drift deeper into this thought. If time can slow with speed, then the universe is not ruled by one absolute clock. Instead, every traveler carries their own clock, their own flow of time, honest and consistent within their own frame. No one feels their seconds stretch. No one feels their minutes bend. The changes only appear when paths are compared, when journeys are measured against one another. This is why the image of the river slowing to glass is so powerful. It reminds us that time does not shatter or break. It simply shifts, flowing differently for each traveler, while always feeling smooth and unbroken to them. Now think of the stars themselves, scattered across the night. Their light takes years, centuries, even millennia to reach us. For the photon that carries it, the journey is timeless. For us, it is a vast delay, a patient waiting. If we could ride alongside that photon, we would find the river frozen, no seconds ticking, no time flowing at all. For us, the river flows on, marking the distance in years. For light, the river is glass from the very beginning. This contrast shows us the full spectrum of time's flexibility, from the gentle slowing of a moving clock to the complete timelessness of a photon's journey. You can almost feel this truth when you sit quietly and listen to your own breath. In stillness, time feels slow, stretched like evening shadows. In moments of joy or urgency, time feels fast, rushing like rapids. These are human perceptions, not physical changes, yet they mirror the deeper truth of relativity. Time truly can slow, not only in feeling but in fact, as we move through the universe. It is as if our experiences are faint echoes of the cosmic rule, reflections of the river that can become glass. The slowing of time also means that journeys once thought impossible may not be so. If travelers could move near the speed of light, distant stars might be reachable within their lifetimes, though centuries or millennia would pass on Earth. The river of their time would slow so much that they could cross gulfs of space in what felt like brief years. This does not mean they escape time, but that their path through time is different. For them, the river is glass, while for those they left behind, it continues to flow swiftly. This dream of interstellar travel is born from the gentle bending of time, from the way the universe reshapes its rhythms around light. As night deepens, picture again the river now under the stars. The water is still, reflecting constellations like polished stone. The river has slowed to glass, and in its surface you see both sky and earth, both past and present. This is the image of time dilation, the calm and beautiful truth that time does not rush equally for all. It is not an end, not a break, but a soft adjustment, a harmony that keeps the speed of light steady for every traveler. And in this harmony we find not confusion but comfort, for it means that time is not a rigid prison but a flexible companion, willing to flow at different speeds while always remaining faithful to those who live within it. Let us drift once more to the river and imagine it under the full sun of midday. The water shines, quick and bright, rushing over stones and roots. Yet if we step back and watch carefully, we see that not every part of the river moves the same way. Some pools are slower, some eddies linger, some surfaces ripple while others gleam still. Time, too, has this character. It is not one uniform current sweeping all things alow. NG at the same pace. It is a river with many textures, many layers, each shaped by motion and gravity. To live in the universe is to float upon this river, sometimes gliding swiftly, sometimes drifting slowly, sometimes pausing as though upon glass. We know this through the quiet work of physics. When satellites circle high above Earth, they move fast and their time runs slightly slower than ours on the ground. But the weaker gravity in orbit also makes their time run slightly faster. The two effects balance delicately, and only when corrected with care do their signals guide us truly. In the forest of space, the river of time is never one simple stream. It is a network of flows, weaving together to keep the speed of light steady for every observer. This balance is not harsh but elegant, a harmony written into the very fabric of reality. Think of how this harmony reveals itself in daily life. You open a map on your phone and it shows your path with confidence. Behind that simple act is a choir of clocks in orbit, each one touched by time slowing and stretching, each one corrected so that your steps are true. Without this, you would be lost. The bending of time is not only a cosmic curiosity, it is a gentle companion to our lives, a hidden river beneath every journey we take. Let us wander now to the far edges of imagination, where rockets sail not only around Earth but across the stars. If you were to set out on such a journey, moving close to the speed of light, the river of your time would slow so much that entire ages would pass on Earth while only years passed for you. This is not a dream but a simple truth of relativity. The faster you move, the slower your clock compared to those who remain behind. The river turns to glass for the traveler, while continuing its swift current for those at home. Both truths exist at once, And when the paths meet again, the difference is clear, a quiet testimony written in the lines of two faces that were once the same. Consider again the story of the twins. One remains on Earth, walking daily through familiar seasons, feeling the years pass gently but steadily. The other departs, their ship racing near light speed. To the traveling twin, only a few years pass. To the twin on Earth, decades slip by. When they meet again, they embrace, and one sees in the other a face that time has touched differently. This is the paradox made real. The river of time has flowed at two speeds, and yet each twin has lived fully and honestly within their own current. No one feels cheated. No one feels rushed or slowed. Each has simply walked their own path, their own portion of the river. The river can also be slowed by gravity, as though a heavy stone pressed into its depths. Near a massive star or a black hole, time itself bends, its flow slowed for those close to the mass. A clock near the horizon of a black hole will tick more slowly than a clock far away, just as water pools and hesitates near a great stone. To the one falling, moments pass normally. To the one watching from afar, those moments stretch into infinity. The river of time responds not only to speed, but also to weight, curving and slowing under gravity's hand. The stillness of glass is found not only in swiftness, but in nearness to mass. This slowing has been measured too, with clocks set at different heights on Earth. The clock higher in a building runs slightly faster than the one lower because gravity is weaker above. The difference is tiny, almost invisible, but real. Even here, close to home, the river does not flow evenly. It shifts and bends with height, with motion, with mass. The truth of relativity is not far away in the stars, but here in our own steps, woven into our own days. Now imagine yourself as the traveler once more, leaving Earth in a rocket that sails close to light speed. You read, you dream, you breathe, you age as always. The river of your time is smooth and steady. But when you return, you find that Earth's river has flowed differently. Generations may have passed, cities may have changed, forests may have grown or vanished. You are not outside of time, you are not eternal. You are simply walking a different current, one that slowed to glass while Earth's flowed swiftly on. The reunion is bittersweet, but it is also beautiful, for it shows that the universe is wide enough to hold many rivers at once. Think of how this changes our view of distance. The stars seem impossibly far, their light taking centuries or millennia to arrive. But for a traveler whose river slows, those distances shrink in lived time. A star that seems beyond reach could be visited within a lifetime if the ship moved fast enough, though the Earth left behind would have aged beyond recognition. In this way, relativity opens doors, not only in physics but in imagination. It tells us that journeys through the cosmos are not measured by one clock alone, but by many, each true in its own frame. The river of time is not an obstacle but a path, one that shifts with motion and gravity. The image of the river slowing to glass is more than a metaphor. It is the heart of relativity's gift. That time is flexible, gentle, able to bend without breaking. When we move quickly, our seconds stretch. When we linger near mass, our minutes soften. When we live in ordinary life, the differences are too small to feel, but they are always there, shaping the harmony of the world. This truth does not make time less real. It makes it more precious, for it reminds us that every moment is personal, every path unique, every flow of the river a story of its own. Now picture the river at night, stars above it, the water calm and reflective. The current is so slow it seems frozen, a mirror of the heavens. In that mirror you see yourself gazing back, timeless and yet alive. This is the gift of the slowing river. It lets us imagine eternity without leaving the present. It shows us that time is not fixed but living, not rigid but soft, not a prison but a companion. To drift with it is to be part of the universe's great harmony, where light sets the tempo and every traveler carries their own rhythm within. Let us return once more to the river, now at twilight, where the edges of day blur into the calm of night. The water is smooth, so smooth it reflects the sky like polished glass. You stand upon the bank and watch as the current slows until it feels no longer like a river at all, but like a lake that holds the heavens upon its surface. This image is the heart of time dilation, the gentle truth that time itself, under the weight of speed or gravity, can appear to still, to stretch, to pause. The river of time that once rushed is now calm, and in its calmness we see the vastness of what it means to live in a universe not ruled by one rhythm, but by many. Consider how this truth reshapes our sense of existence. If each traveler carries their own flow of time, then no single clock can claim to be the universal one. Your moments belong to you, honest and faithful in your frame, even if another sees them differently. This is not contradiction, but harmony, a weaving together of many rivers into one great tapestry. Each current flows true to its traveler, and when those currents meet again, the differences tell stories of distance and speed, of journeys through space and the bending of time. The river that slows to glass is not broken, it is simply part of a greater design. Imagine standing beside your twin again. You have walked the familiar seasons of Earth while they have traveled near the speed of light. For you, decades have passed, for them only years. You embrace, and in that embrace is the quiet acknowledgement that you have each lived fully yet differently. The river of your time was swift, carrying you through years of change. Theirs was slowed, smooth as glass, carrying them through fewer years but with equal honesty. Neither has cheated the other, both have lived truly. The difference is not unfairness, but a reflection of the flexibility of time itself. The slowing of time is not only a concept of thought experiments. It has been measured in the rain of cosmic particles from the sky, in the clocks carried by satellites, in the orbits of stars around black holes. The universe itself is the laboratory, showing us again and again that the river flows differently in different places, under different conditions. These measurements are not distant curiosities, but affirmations that our world is stranger and more beautiful than it first appears. To know this is to see the cosmos not as a rigid machine, but as a living fabric, pliant and responsive, bending around the constancy of light. Let us drift into the thought of black holes once more, those places where time slows so much that to a distant observer it seems to stop. A clock falling toward the event horizon appears to freeze, each second stretched into eternity. Yet to the falling clock itself, time flows gently as always until the final moment. Here the river becomes not just glass but stone, unmoving in our view, though still flowing for the one who falls. This is perhaps the most profound image of time dilation, where the slowing of time is so complete that it becomes stillness itself. And yet even here the truth holds. Time is not destroyed but reshaped, woven into the strange geometry of space. Think of how this reshaping touches even the dreams of travel among the stars. If the river of time can slow for those who move fast enough, then journeys across the galaxy might one day be lived within a single lifetime, though the Earth left behind would age beyond recognition. The river that slows to glass offers both promise and poignancy. Promise, because it means the stars are not beyond reach. Poignancy, because it means the cost of such journeys is distance in time from those we love. To dream of traveling among the stars is to dream not only of places, but of rivers of time that flow deep. Differently, each with its own story. Now let us rest in the everyday again. You sit by a clock, watching its hands sweep steadily, feeling your heartbeat echo its rhythm. You do not feel the slowing or bending of time. Your seconds are yours, faithful and true. This is the comfort of relativity. It changes nothing for the traveler themselves. You always live within your own smooth river, unaware of its difference from another's until paths are compared. Time never betrays you. It simply bends around the constancy of light, creating harmony among all who move. The river that slows to glass is invisible in your daily life, yet it shapes the universe you inhabit. Imagine closing your eyes and feeling the world slow, not in fear but in calm. The ticking of the clock becomes distant, the rhythm of your breath deepens, the sense of time stretches. In a small way, you have touched the feeling of dilation, though only as perception. Physics tells us that such stretching is real, that the universe itself allows for rivers of time that move differently. This knowledge does not diminish the moment. It enriches it, reminding you that your life is part of a larger story, where time is not rigid but alive, capable of slowing, pausing, reflecting like glass under starlight. The river that slows to glass is, in the end, a gift of perspective. It teaches us that time is not a prison of equal ticks, but a companion that flows with us, bends with us, and even stills for us under certain paths. It tells us that the universe is not simple, but layered with wonder. It assures us that every moment we live is true, even if others live differently. To know this is to walk more gently, to breathe more deeply, to cherish the seconds that are ours, knowing they are precious precisely because they are unique. And so we leave the river at twilight, its surface reflecting the first stars. The current is so slow it feels eternal, yet we know it still flows. Time itself is like this, sometimes rushing, sometimes stretching, sometimes still, but always present, always carrying us onward. The river that slows to glass does not frighten us. It comforts us, reminding us that the universe bends gently around us, shaping time to keep harmony with the speed of light. And as we step away from the bank, carrying the reflection of stars within us, we feel at peace, knowing that our own river, however swift or slow, is part of the great flow of the cosmos. Imagine walking across a meadow at dawn, where the mist hangs low and the horizon seems far away yet strangely close, as though distance itself were softened by the quiet air. Each step you take is measured by the rhythm of your body, by the sense of space that stretches between where you stand and where you wish to be. Distance feels solid, certain, a steady stage beneath your feet. But in the deeper layers of physics, this stage is not rigid at all. It bends, it stretches, it reshapes itself depending on how we move. At great speeds, near the speed of light, distance no longer behaves as we expect. What once was wide becomes narrow, what once was long becomes short. To the traveler rushing swiftly, miles can shrink into steps, vast gulfs can fold into spans that seem to vanish. It is as if distance itself becomes frozen, held still by the strange and beautiful rules of relativity. Let us picture a train gliding along a long track. To those on the platform, the train has a certain length, its windows lined neatly, its wheels humming on the rails. But to an observer rushing past at tremendous speed, the train does not look the same. It contracts, its length shrinking in the direction of motion. This is not an illusion, but a truth written into the geometry of space-time. Distances are not absolute, they depend on the frame from which they are measured. The faster one moves, the more distance appears to freeze, to shorten, to draw inward. This phenomenon is called length contraction, and though it sounds like a riddle, it is a quiet companion to the slowing of time. Together, they weave the fabric of relativity, where space and time are not separate but one. Imagine now a spacecraft speeding near the speed of light, aimed toward a distant star. To those watching from Earth, the distance is vast, measured in light years, far beyond the span of a single human life. But to the travelers aboard, the distance contracts, folding in upon itself. Their journey, impossibly long to us, may feel much shorter to them. The faster they go, the more the universe reshapes itself, drawing far stars nearer, freezing distances that once seemed eternal. This is not magic, but geometry, the natural result of a universe that insists light's speed remain constant for all. To preserve that constancy, space and time themselves must bend, stretching moments and freezing miles until harmony is kept. We can see this truth in the dance of particles high above us. Cosmic rays strike the upper atmosphere, creating showers of muons. These particles move near the speed of light, and to them, the distance through the atmosphere is not the same as it is to us. It is shorter, frozen into a narrower span. They survive to reach the ground because in their own frame they have not traveled so far. To us, their lives are extended by slowed time. To them, the distance itself has shrunk. Both are true, both are gentle reflections of relativity's gift. In this way, the frozen distance is not only an idea, but a reality, written into the rain of particles that falls silently upon us each day. Consider also the bridges we build with light itself. When we measure the distance to far galaxies, we rely on photons that have crossed unimaginable spans. They carry with them the memory of those gulfs, yet for them, no distance was traveled, no time passed. From their perspective, departure and arrival are the same. For us, the journey is immense. For light, distance is frozen entirely. This contrast shows us that distance is not a single truth, but a shared agreement between traveler and observer. It shifts and bends depending on the path one takes, the speed one holds, the frame one inhabits. What seems vast to one can be frozen to another. Now imagine standing in a canyon, shouting and hearing your voice echo back. The distance between you and the cliff is measured by the delay, the seconds it takes for sound to return. But if you moved close to the speed of sound, the distance would seem to change, to stretch or shrink in ways that defy ordinary sense. With light, this effect is woven into the very fabric of reality. To preserve the constancy of its speed, distance itself becomes malleable, frozen in the eyes of the traveler who moves swiftly. The canyon may seem narrower, the star may seem closer, the meadow may fold into fewer steps. The river of time slows, and with it, the road of space freezes. This does not mean that distance is unreal. It means that distance is alive like time, part of a fabric that flexes to keep harmony. Space is not an empty stage upon which life plays. It is woven into the play itself, reshaped by the speed of its actors. The faster you move, the more the stage folds, until what was once far may seem within reach. To live in such a universe is to live in a place both solid and soft, where the lines we draw are true yet flexible, honest yet relative. The frozen distance is a reminder that reality is not rigid, but breathing, adjusting, alive. At twilight, when you look across a still lake, the far shore can feel close, as if distance itself has paused. The reflection of the trees in the water brings the horizon nearer, folding space into a mirror. This quiet illusion is a symbol of the deeper truth. That space itself can fold, distances can freeze, horizons can shift depending on how we move. To know this is not to lose certainty, but to gain wonder, for it means the universe is wider and softer than we first believed. It means that the road to the stars is not measured by one unchanging yardstick, but by many, each bent by speed, each true to its traveler. And in this knowledge we find peace, walking slowly across the meadow, aware that distance is not only something we cross, but something that bends and breathes with us. Let us wander again into the quiet folds of distance, and imagine it not as a rigid yardstick, but as a living fabric, bending and reshaping itself around motion. Distance is what we feel when we walk from one tree to another, when we stretch our hands to reach a book upon a shelf, when we look across a field and know how far the horizon lies. Yet in the deeper currents of physics, this sense of space is not universal. It is tied to speed and perspective, to the frame from which it is measured. As travelers move closer to the speed of light, what once seemed far can fold inward, shrinking as though space itself were breathing. This contraction of distance, this freezing of length, is not a dream but a law, as real as the ticking of a clock or the falling of rain. Picture a spacecraft leaving Earth, bound for a distant star. From the ground, astronomers measure the distance in light years, so vast that no ordinary human life could hold it. But for the travelers inside, rushing near the speed of light, the distance begins to shorten. The universe reshapes itself around them. Their journey, which would have taken millennia by Earth's measure, unfolds in years or decades for them. This is the gift of relativity. Time slows for the traveler while space itself contracts. The two work together, softening the barriers of distance. What was once unreachable becomes a path that can be walked, though at a cost. The world they left behind will have aged far more than they. The frozen distance is not an escape from time, but a reshaping of it, a weaving of space and duration into one. We see echoes of this truth in the quiet rain of cosmic particles. High above the Earth, muons are born from collisions between cosmic rays and the atmosphere. By the measure of their short lives, they should vanish before reaching the ground, yet they do not. They arrive countless and steady, because for them the distance is frozen, contracted by their near-light speed. They do not travel farther than they should, they simply move through a universe where the road is shorter. This is not an illusion, but a dual truth. For us, their lives are stretched. For them, the space itself is compressed. Both views are honest, both are real, both arise from the same fabric of relativity. Now imagine a long bridge stretching across a valley. To those standing still, the bridge has a fixed length, steady and certain. But to someone rushing across at immense speed, the bridge is shorter, contracted in the direction of motion. The structure has not changed, the beams have not shifted, yet the measure of space is different for the swift traveler. This paradox is not contradiction but harmony. Space is not an object apart from motion. It is part of the weave of space-time, bending and freezing to keep the laws of light consistent for all. What seems long to one is short to another, and both truths are woven into the same reality. Let us pause at the thought of frozen distance and reflect on what it means for our sense of separation. If space can contract, then the boundaries we perceive are not absolute. The gulf between Earth and a distant star, the span between galaxies, the stretch between present and future, they are all threads that can shift, bend, and fold. To live in such a universe is to live in a place more flexible than our senses suggest. We measure distance with rulers, with paces, with light years, but these measures are not eternal. They depend on how we move, how we look, how we live within the river of space-time. The frozen distance is a reminder that even separation itself is relative, that closeness and farness are not fixed but fluid. This fluidity is written also in the bending of light by gravity. When a massive object, like a galaxy cluster, stands between us and something farther away, the light curves around it. We call this gravitational lensing, and it reveals the distant source to us in arcs and rings. To the photons, the path is straight, yet to us it is bent. The distance they cross is altered, frozen into a shape that tells us about the mass that bends them. Here again, distance is not solid but alive. It responds to both speed and gravity, reshaping itself to keep the harmony of the cosmos. The frozen distance is not emptiness but the quiet dance of geometry, the soft bending of space itself. Consider now the idea of interstellar journeys. For us on Earth, the nearest star system lies more than 4 light-years away, a distance impossible to cover in a lifetime with ordinary speed. But if we imagine a ship moving near the speed of light, the distance shrinks in the frame of those aboard. The frozen distance makes the unreachable reachable. They could cross to that star within their lifetimes, though centuries would pass on Earth. This dual truth brings both hope and melancholy. Hope because the stars are not beyond all reach. Melancholy because the frozen distance also freezes the bond between those who depart and those who remain. By the time the travelers return, the world they left would be unrecognizable. The river of time and the road of space, slowed and frozen, demand their price. This truth does not make the universe colder. It makes it more wondrous. To know that space is not rigid but flexible, that distance can shrink and freeze, is to know that reality is larger than we thought. It shows us that separation is not as absolute as it seems, that the stars are both far and near depending on how we travel. It reminds us that the cosmos is alive, not a dead stage but a living fabric, breathing and bending around the constancy of light. In this fabric, frozen distance is not absence but possibility, the gentle folding of the universe to keep harmony between speed, time, and space. Let us rest again by a still lake, where the horizon reflects so clearly it seems within reach. You stretch out your hand and feel as though you could touch the trees across the water, though they remain far. This illusion is a symbol of relativity's truth. Distance can fold, can appear shorter, can seem frozen, not only in reflection but in reality when speed bends space-time. What seems unreachable may lie closer than we think, if we are willing to see through the softness of the universe's weave. And in this softness we find not confusion but calm, a gentle assurance that space and time are not rigid walls but living companions, guiding us with flexibility, shaping the journey of every traveler across the cosmos. As twilight deepens, let us return to the thought of distance, now not as a path to be crossed but as a mystery to be felt. You stand at the edge of a valley, the far ridge outlined against the fading sky. It seems both near and far, both reachable and unreachable, depending on how you frame it in your mind. In physics, this duality is not only imagination but truth. For the traveler at rest, the valley is wide, the ridge distant. For the traveler rushing near the speed of light, the span is shorter, contracted, almost frozen. Both views belong to the same world. Both are true, yet each depends on the flow of time and motion. The frozen distance is not an illusion. It is the universe's way of holding harmony, balancing the constancy of light against the shifting perspectives of all who move. Think again of the muons falling from the sky. To us, their lives are stretched, their clocks slowed, giving them enough time to reach the ground. To them, the journey is brief, the distance through the atmosphere compressed. They see the Earth's blanket of air as thinner, narrower, frozen into a smaller span. This duality shows us how relativity weaves together two truths into one harmony. Time slows, space contracts, and both are real. Without either, the story would break. With both, the cosmos remains whole. The frozen distance is as essential as the slowing of time, each a reflection of the same fabric. Now imagine a spacecraft bound for a distant star, perhaps 1,000 light-years away. To us, the span is hopelessly vast, beyond the reach of any single lifetime. But to the travelers inside, moving at a speed near light, the distance is frozen, folded down to a smaller measure. They live the journey within decades, though the Earth they left behind ages by centuries. This thought is both promise and ache. It promises that the stars may be within reach, that the frozen distances of the cosmos can be crossed. Yet it carries the ache that travelers return to a world no longer their own, to a home aged far beyond them. Distance does not vanish, but it reshapes itself differently for each path, writing two stories in one journey. The same truth rests in the dance of black holes. When light passes near their immense gravity, its path bends and distances stretch or freeze depending on perspective. To a distant observer, an object falling toward a black hole appears to slow, its progress freezing at the horizon. The distance to that horizon seems infinite, unreachable. But to the falling traveler, the journey is brief, the horizon crossed in moments. The frozen distance is only a matter of perspective, not a contradiction. It reveals that even the boundaries of space are not fixed walls, but shifting veils, woven from the same cloth of space-time that bends under both speed and gravity. The frozen distance also reshapes how we think of separation itself. The stars above may seem impossibly far, but in the language of relativity, they are not fixed points beyond reach. They are part of a flexible fabric, one that bends and folds, one that allows travelers at great speeds to find paths shortened, distances contracted. The universe is not as rigid as it appears. It holds within it possibilities, quiet doors that open when speed and motion reshape the yardsticks we take for granted. The frozen distance is not a wall but a passage, one that reminds us that closeness and farness are relative, bound not by absolutes but by the paths we take. Think also of light itself, the photon that carries memory across space. For us, the distance it travels is measured in years, centuries, or billions of years. For the photon, the distance is nothing at all, frozen entirely. Departure and arrival are the same moment. The gulf is bridged without passage. This is perhaps the purest form of frozen distance, the ultimate stillness of space in the frame of light. It reminds us that the very messenger that reveals distance to us knows no distance itself. The paradox is gentle, a truth that allows us to live in a universe where both vast gulfs and frozen spans coexist. Let us pause at the image of a bridge once more. To the still observer, the bridge has its full length. To the rushing traveler, it contracts. Neither view is wrong. Each belongs to its own frame. The bridge itself is unchanged, yet its length is not a single truth. This is the essence of relativity. Reality is richer than one perspective alone. It holds multiple truths, each woven into the fabric of space-time. The frozen distance is one of these truths, reminding us that reality is not a single line but a web of paths, each with its own measure, each valid, each whole. Now return to the still lake under the stars. The horizon reflects in the water, closer than it is, folded by the mirror of the surface. You reach out, and though your hand touches only ripples, you feel as though the far shore has come near. This is the poetry of frozen distance, not as experiment or equation, but as experience, a way to sense that the universe holds softness beneath its structure. Distance can be both vast and near, both flowing and frozen, depending on how we move and how we see. And to know this is tea. Oh, live with wonder, to walk gently through a world that is larger and more fluid than our steps alone can measure. In the end, frozen distance is not about denial of separation, but about the relativity of perspective. It tells us that the universe is flexible, that space itself is part of the same living fabric as time. It shows us that journeys are not measured by one universal rule, but by many, each true for the traveler who lives it. It reminds us that even the gulfs between stars are not fixed, but pliant, capable of bending for those who move swiftly enough. To live with this knowledge is to feel both small and infinite, both grounded on Earth and connected to the farthest galaxies. So let us rest at the edge of the valley, watching the ridge under the fading sky. The distance seems still, frozen in the twilight, both far and near. You breathe, you stand, you feel the vastness before you. And within that vastness, you sense the gentle truth. That space is not a rigid wall, but a flexible thread. That distance itself can slow, freeze, and fold, just as time can stretch and pause. The universe is not fixed but alive, and you are part of its fabric, moving within rivers of time and fields of space that bend softly around you. In this knowledge there is peace, for the frozen distance is not emptiness but harmony, the quiet song of a cosmos that holds both vastness and nearness within its embrace. Imagine standing at the edge of a great ocean at night, the waves rolling endlessly into darkness, the horizon hidden beyond sight. You know the ocean continues, yet it feels as if the world ends where water meets sky. In the universe, there are places like this, horizons where the known dissolves into the unknowable, where time and space fold into silence. These are black holes, regions so heavy with gravity that even light cannot escape. To look toward them is to look toward the horizon of forever, a boundary where our understanding pauses, where time slows and distances freeze, where questions echo without answers. The story of this horizon is not one of terror, but of quiet wonder, for it reveals the soft edges of reality itself. Picture a star, vast and luminous, burning through its life in steady radiance. For millions of years it shines until its fuel is spent, until its core collapses under its own weight. If the star is heavy enough, the collapse does not stop at a dense remnant but continues, folding matter into a point of unimaginable density. Around that point forms the event horizon, the boundary where escape becomes impossible. To cross it is to leave the universe behind, to pass into a place where time and space flow differently. To those outside, the horizon is a line drawn in silence, the last surface from which light can still return. To those falling inward, it is not a line at all, but a gentle crossing, unnoticed until it is already behind them. Consider the traveler who drifts too close. From far away, their ship seems to slow, their signals stretch into faint whispers, their clock ticks more slowly with each passing second. To the outside observer, the ship never truly crosses the horizon. It lingers frozen, fading into darkness as time itself slows to a halt. Yet for the traveler inside, time flows as always. Their seconds pass normally, their heartbeat steady, their thoughts unbroken. They cross the horizon in silence, feeling no boundary, no sudden shift. This paradox is the essence of the horizon of forever, two truths held together, each honest in its own frame, each revealing the pliancy of time and space. Around some black holes, light does not vanish at once but circles in delicate loops. There is a region where photons are trapped, orbiting endlessly before either escaping or falling inward. This is the photon sphere, a place where light itself is caught in the balance of gravity. To look upon it, if one could, would be to see light's own reflection, an endless orbit frozen at the edge of escape. Beyond this lies the event horizon, the true boundary, the point of no return. Here the horizon of forever stretches like the surface of a dark sea, calm yet absolute, hiding what lies within. The beauty of black holes is that they are not only endings, but also beginnings of understanding. In their study, we glimpse the unity of space and time, the bending of light, the stretching of moments, the freezing of distance. They are laboratories where the rules of relativity are written most clearly, where the universe shows us its deepest truths. Astronomers have even captured their shadows, great circles of darkness surrounded by glowing rings of matter. These images are not simply pictures, but mirrors of the horizon of forever, where light itself bends into arcs before vanishing. To see them is to witness space-time folded into forms beyond imagination. Let us wander in thought closer still. If you fell toward a black hole, you would see the universe behind you speed up, the stars and galaxies racing through their ages as your path carried you onward. To you, moments pass normally, but to those far away you appear frozen, your image stretched and dimmed into silence. Time does not end, but it becomes divided, split between perspectives, woven into paradox. The horizon of forever is not only a place but a boundary of perception where what is real depends on where you stand. For the traveler, it is a gentle passage. For the observer, it is an eternal pause. The presence of black holes also reminds us that horizons are not unique to them alone. In our expanding universe, there are cosmic horizons too, limits beyond which we cannot see because light has not yet had time to reach us. These too are horizons of forever, edges of our knowledge, boundaries that retreat as the cosmos grows. They are reminders that the universe itself is larger than our vision, that beyond what we see lies more, hidden not by walls but by the gentle delay of light's travel. In every horizon, whether cosmic or black, there is both silence and invitation. Silence because we cannot yet know, invitation because the unknown calls us deeper. In daily life, horizons are familiar. We see them in the line of the sea, in the hills that meet the sky, in the sunset that hides the day. Each horizon feels like an ending, yet each is only the beginning of something hidden. In the same way, the horizon of forever is not the end of the universe, but the beginning of a new mystery. It is the place where our measures fail, where our clocks stretch, where our distances freeze, where we must step beyond sight and rely on imagination. To think of it is to feel small, but also to feel part of something immense, a cosmos that holds not only what we know, but what we cannot yet know. Now imagine yourself at the edge of such a horizon, watching the last light bend around you, watching the universe stretch into silence. You would not feel fear, but awe, as though standing at the edge of a vast ocean whose depths are hidden. The horizon of forever is not a wall but a veil, not a boundary of existence but a change in its texture. To dwell upon it is to accept that reality is layered, that what we call time and space are not fixed but flexible, capable of folding into forms we can only glimpse. In this acceptance, there is peace, for it reminds us that the cosmos is larger than our measures, softer than our fears, and more beautiful than our words. Let us drift again toward the horizon of forever, and imagine it not only as the edge of a black hole, but as the symbol of limits themselves. Every horizon is both a boundary and a promise, a line that hides what lies beyond while whispering that there is more to be discovered. In the language of relativity, horizons are natural, inevitable, woven into the structure of space and time. They appear wherever gravity bends the fabric deeply, wherever expansion stretches it too far, wherever light itself cannot bridge the gulf. To stand before such a horizon is to stand before the quiet truth that our knowledge, however vast, will always have edges. Yet those edges are not hard walls. They are veils of mystery, delicate and permeable, inviting imagination to wander. Consider again the event horizon of a black hole. To those outside, it is a sphere of no return, a boundary that nothing can cross and come back. Time slows there, distance stretches, light bends inward. A traveler approaching it seems to freeze, their signals stretched into longer and longer waves, their voice fading into silence. The universe watches them linger forever at the edge, never quite vanishing. Yet for the traveler, the story is different. They cross the horizon smoothly, unaware of any boundary, carried inward as moments pass naturally. To them, nothing feels frozen, nothing feels broken. They are living within their own flow of time. The horizon of forever holds both stories at once, each true in its own frame. This duality is not a contradiction, but the essence of relativity, where perspective shapes reality as deeply as matter and energy. The horizon also teaches us about light itself. Photons that skim just above a black hole's surface can orbit endlessly, trapped in circles of brightness. These photon spheres are fragile balances, places where light walks a razor's edge between escape and capture. From afar they appear as glowing rings, echoes of light's final dance before it falls inward. The Event Horizon Telescope captured such a ring around a supermassive black hole, its darkness surrounded by fire. That image was not only a photograph, but a glimpse into the geometry of the universe, proof that the horizon of forever is real. In those arcs of light, we saw not only matter bending, but space-time itself curving into silence. Now let us drift outward, beyond black holes, into the horizon of the cosmos itself. Because the universe expands, there are regions so far that their light will never reach us, these cosmic horizons mark the edge of what can ever be known. We look at the night sky and see galaxies, but beyond them lies more, hidden forever by the speed of expansion. This horizon is not a wall but a moving boundary, retreating as the cosmos grows. It tells us that even in an infinite universe, our vision is finite. What we see is only a bubble, a sphere of light that has reached us since the beginning of time. Beyond it lies mystery, perhaps endless galaxies, perhaps patterns we cannot imagine. The horizon of forever is here too, written into the sky, reminding us that there is always more than we can touch. In the presence of such horizons, our sense of time also shifts. Near a black hole, clocks slow compared to those far away. What seems like minutes for the traveler may be centuries for the observer. In this way, horizons divide time itself, creating regions where the flow of moments is not shared. This bending of time is not a flaw but a feature of the universe. It is what allows relativity to hold together, what keeps the speed of light constant for all. The horizon of forever is not simply a place of endings, but of balance, where the rules of space and time are most clearly seen. Imagine standing on a hill at sunset. The horizon glows red and gold, the sun slipping beneath it. You know the world does not end there, yet your eyes cannot see beyond. The colors fade and the horizon becomes a veil between day and night. In this simple scene lies the echo of cosmic horizons. They too are veils, hiding more than they reveal, yet reminding us that beyond every limit lies continuation. The horizon of forever is not the end of the universe, but the place where our perception pauses. To live with horizons is to live with humility, knowing that our vision is always partial, yet always enough to glimpse wonder. Horizons also teach us about connection. Though nothing escapes a black hole, information may still be carried at its edge. Physicists speak of holographic principles, of the possibility that everything falling in is recorded upon the horizon itself. If this is true, then the horizon is not emptiness but memory, a surface where the story of what has fallen remains written. This idea, though not fully proven, offers a profound image. That the horizon of forever is also the library of forever, a record of existence preserved at the edge of silence. Whether or not the details are true, the poetry of it remains. Horizons may conceal, but they may also remember. Let us think also of ourselves. Each life carries its own horizon, the edge of what we know, the boundary of our vision. We cannot see all of time, we cannot travel all of space, but within our own horizons we live fully. To look toward the horizon of forever in the cosmos is to see a mirror of our own horizons in life. Both remind us that limits are not failures, but structures that give meaning to what we can know, what we can love, what we can cherish. To live within a horizon is to live within a frame, and within that frame, beauty unfolds. The horizon of forever, whether black hole or cosmic edge, does not diminish us. It enlarges us, for it shows that the universe is greater than our grasp, softer than our certainties, richer than our measures. To contemplate it is to stand at the edge of an ocean at night, hearing the waves without seeing their end, feeling the immensity without fearing it. It is to breathe with the knowledge that we are part of something vast, a cosmos with horizons that both conceal and promise, both limit and invite. And in that breath we find peace, knowing that the horizon of forever is not a wall but a window, opening our hearts to the infinite. Let us return one last time to the horizon of forever, and let the thought settle as softly as twilight upon the sea. Imagine a coastline where the ocean stretches endlessly, the horizon a line of silver where sky and water meet. You know the waves continue beyond what you see, yet the eye cannot follow them. This is the feeling of the cosmic horizon, the edge of vision, the veil of light and time. It is not an end but a boundary of perception, And in this sense, every horizon we face, whether at sea, in life, or in physics, is a teacher. It shows us both what we know and what we cannot know, and invites us to rest gently with the mystery. Consider again the black hole, the dark heart of gravity. To us, it is a region from which no signal escapes, a silence so complete it seems to erase existence itself. Yet physics tells us that horizons may shimmer with secrets. Hawking radiation, faint and delicate, suggests that black holes are not entirely silent. They whisper ever so slowly, releasing energy until they fade. If this is true, then even the horizon of forever is not absolute. It changes, evolves, softens over time. The darkness is not eternal silence, but a slow transformation, a fading echo of all that has been swallowed. The horizon may remember, may record, may return in. Whispers what once was hidden. It reminds us that even the most absolute-seeming boundaries carry subtleties, layers, possibilities beyond our first sight. The paradox of horizons is that they both divide and unite. For the traveler falling inward, the horizon is no barrier, no boundary at all, merely a place passed without fanfare. For the observer outside, it is an eternal pause, a place where time itself halts. Both views are true, both frames honest, and together they reveal that reality is richer than a single description. The horizon of forever is not a contradiction, but a harmony of perspectives woven into the fabric of relativity. It tells us that what we see depends on where we stand, that knowledge is always partial, that truth itself has layers. To live with this knowledge is to walk more gently, to hold humility alongside curiosity, to know that the universe always holds more than we can see. The cosmic horizon carries the same lesson. Beyond the edge of the observable universe lies more, perhaps infinite galaxies, perhaps patterns unlike any we have known. We will never see them, not because they are not real, but because the expansion of space itself stretches the light away from us faster than it can arrive. The horizon of forever here is not silence but separation, a boundary drawn by the speed of cosmic growth. Yet even this separation carries beauty, for it tells us that we are part of something immeasurably vast, a universe whose fullness lies beyond any single view. To stand beneath the night sky is to look not only at stars but at the edges of vision, to feel both the nearness of light and the distance of the unseen. Now think of the horizon in human life. Every day holds its horizon, the edge of what we can know or do. We cannot see beyond tomorrow, we cannot grasp the full measure of time, but within our horizon we live fully. The horizon of forever in the cosmos is a mirror of our own horizons in life. It reminds us that mystery is not failure but structure, the frame within which beauty appears. If we saw everything, if we knew all, there would be no wonder. It is the horizon, the veil, the hidden, that gives depth to what we see. Just as the sea is made more beautiful by the horizon it flows into, so our lives are made deeper by the mystery into which they move. Imagine again the image of a black hole captured by telescopes, a ring of fire surrounding a circle of darkness. That darkness is not a void but a horizon, a surface where light itself curves away. To see it is to see space and time woven into shapes beyond our imagining. It is also to see ourselves reflected, for we too live with horizons of knowledge and vision. We too stand before boundaries we cannot cross, yet in those boundaries we find beauty. The horizon of forever is not the absence of meaning but its deepening, not the denial of truth but its expansion. Let us wander back to the shore where the night has grown still. The horizon glimmers faintly beneath the stars. You breathe and feel the vastness pressing gently upon you, not as weight but as presence. The ocean does not end at the horizon. The universe does not end at what we can see. Life does not end at what we can know. Beyond every horizon lies more, and the mystery itself is a kind of light, guiding us to wonder, to humility, to peace. The horizon of forever is not to be crossed but to be cherished, for it shows us both the depth of what is and the promise of what might be. And so the story closes with a soft truth. Horizons are not endings but beginnings in disguise. They are the places where time slows, where distance freezes, where vision halts. Yet they are also the places where imagination awakens, where curiosity stretches, where awe takes root. The horizon of forever, whether in a black hole in the expanding universe or in the quiet edge of a human life, is the gentle reminder that the cosmos is larger than any frame, softer than any measure, more beautiful than any certainty. To rest in this truth is to feel peace, to let go of the need for answers, to dwell in the wonder of the unknown. And as you close your eyes, the horizon remains, not as an end, but as an eternal invitation, a promise that forever is always just beyond sight.